Hey YouTube, welcome to Cycling Dutch and my review of the Knipex pliers wrench. This wrench comes in several different sizes. This is kind of a medium-sized one. It's a 250mm wrench. And for comparison, I also have a 250mm adjustable wrench. Most people are familiar with this. The way this works is you spin this wheel, if I get this, to adjust the jaws, and you adjust them until they fit around whatever it is you're trying to turn. The way this one works, you have a button here to open the jaws, open and close the jaws. You want to open them so they're close to the right size for whatever you're trying to turn, and then you just kind of use it like a wrench and you grab it like that and turn it. Okay, and what I wanted to do in this video is just quickly go through the advantages and disadvantages. Well, the reason people like these is because, actually the reason people don't like these is because everybody who's used this knows that there's a little bit of play here in the jaw. It's not really a big deal for a big nut like this, but if you're trying to turn a smaller nut, it's actually quite easy to round it off, especially if you have to put a lot of force into it. With this tool, you can also grab small nuts like that. And actually it doesn't slip. The reason is when I push on this handle, you're actually squeezing the pliers together and increasing the force on the nut. And I mean, you can really torque any kind of nut down with this. So that's, I think, the main reason people buy this. The reason I bought it is because the jaws open 46mm. So for example, there's no problems turning this. This is a bottom bracket tool. Yeah, it's even too big now, adjusted too big. Or this kind of a cassette tool. You can also turn headsets on bicycles, for example. And this adjustable wrench happens to be big enough to turn this bottom bracket tool, but it's at the maximum. Whereas the pliers wrench is, well, it's quite a bit bigger, I think. So it is a pretty significant difference. That's the reason I got it. So for turning any kind of nut that's either large or where there's a risk of slipping and rounding off the nut, this is a fantastic tool. So there's some real advantages to this kind of a wrench over this kind of a wrench, especially if you don't have the proper size open-ended wrench. So I really like it. I think it's worth it. But there are definitely some disadvantages. Well, the first thing, in case you can't tell, I'm doing this video one-handed, and it's very difficult to adjust one-handed. I mean, you can, but you can't really get the size right easily. And turns out that that's actually a really big disadvantage, because say if this small nut was on the end of connected to a bolt, and I was holding the other end with, I don't know, maybe this or a proper wrench, it is kind of a pain to have to put that one down and use your second hand to adjust this pliers. So that's the first disadvantage, and it's kind of a major one, and it also goes along with the second disadvantage, which is, and I'm not sure if I can demonstrate this one very well. Let me just use that. Get it adjusted here. Let's see. Go bigger. Okay. It's actually also a bit difficult to turn nuts quickly, because see, you turn it like this, then you have to open, and if it's adjusted so that the handles are far apart, it's a bit of a stretch. You pull it out in a different direction, and then you turn to go back in like this. Whereas with this kind of a tool, it's much lighter and it's much more like using a normal wrench. I mean, you can have your hand up here instead of down at the end, and you just turn out, turn out, turn out. I don't know if you can tell that that's an easier motion. If I try it again with this one, you know, it's open, in, close, turn, open, out. It's a bit of an awkward motion. So for ease of use, well, it's not that easy to use. But the amount of grip you have with this is so much more than this that it's still worth having, in my opinion. Okay, what else was I going to mention? Oh yeah, the other thing, well, I already mentioned that it's lighter. The other thing is, even though this has some play here, this has a very fine adjustment. I mean, you can adjust it a little bit or a lot, however you want. This one, the way you adjust it is you push in this button, and it engages these little cutouts. What you can tell, like for example, right now the button is still pushed in and it's not engaged. You have to push it up or down, so it's not as fine. I mean, it fits any size, but it does mean that sometimes you end up with the handles very close together or very far open. If it's very far open like this, it's less comfortable to use. Okay, third disadvantage, the cost. This is kind of a no-name adjustable wrench, but you can buy something like this for under 10 euros. Maybe let's say 10 euros. This is more like 50 euros, so quite a significant difference. Even if you buy an open-ended wrench from a reputable manufacturer, I was looking at one like this from Gedora. They're a German tool manufacturer, and it was like 12 bucks, 12 euros. And yeah, this one is more like 50 euros or more. So that's that. That's the pliers wrench. If I get a tripod, I might do another two-handed video on this. But yeah, I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into how this works and what you can use it for, the advantages and the disadvantages. In fact, the advantages of this are so much that now that I have it, it's almost an irreplaceable tool because the jaws open so widely. I mean, the size open end wrench you need, this is like 46 millimeters. I don't know what that is in inches. I mean, it's almost, I mean, like an inch and a half. That's a pretty big wrench. So it is a very useful tool to have, especially for turning all these little bicycle specific things like these ones you get from Park, or yeah, you can use it to turn a headset, things like that. So good tool, but awkward to use, difficult to adjust, heavy, difficult to use one-handed. Yeah, along with that, it is sometimes a bit difficult at this angle to fit it into the spot that you want. I mean, if you had to go straight in, it's difficult. And this whole head is quite wide. I mean, I guess so is the adjustable wrench. So it's not really, there's not really much of a difference, but there are many situations where you can't reach what you're trying to with this wrench. But yeah, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed the review, although it was a bit disorganized, and thanks for watching. Bye.